All right, freaks and geeks, we are getting ready to go on a 4-hour bike ride. And we are on the single speed 90s retro mountain bike, flat bar, but it's got road geometry actually on it. It's kind of a hybrid, even says so right here. Old Nishiki. The thing is freaking awesome. And but with aero bars, and just from this angle, man, it looks pretty freaking aggressive. Got a mountain bike front tire, a 47, 48-ish rear tire, pumped up to 32 in the back and maybe 23 in the front, and power meter pedals, and got the remote for the camera right here. And we'll go over some of all this other stuff. Blinky light, Garmin 840, and a rear radar. And with all this complication, we are going to talk about Simplicity today on today's ride. And also, yeah, single speed Simplicity, rim brakes Simplicity. I was about to say mechanical shifting. There ain't any of that. So there's no shifting. And then also another shout out to Outside Texas. They are not a sponsor, but they make really cool stuff, and these are from REI, so go check them out, man. And the lenses are actually really good for riding outdoors. So let's come right back once we get on the bike. And let's see, did I mention power meter pedals? Y'all can't see it, but they're down here. And I got new cycling shoes, but kind of budget ones. They're nylon instead of carbon soles, so that, where's my heart rate push? From here to there. It should start showing up here in a second. And I have a trainer at the house, and this bike computer will try to pick up the trainer if I'm too close to the house. And we'll see if we get a heart rate here in a second. There it goes. Bam. Heart rate. And I also have a white blinky light. But yeah, power meter pedals. And then we're going to talk about the numbers and stuff that I use today for training. Stuff that I found that boom, let's go. Numbers that I found that actually work instead of numbers that definitely don't work. And today we're going to talk about how complicated it is to be simple, but how worth it is. You have to actually work to be simple in today's complicated world. And we're getting started a little bit early, 7:30. Here's a whole bunch of junk that's going to be going out to the trash. Things you can do on a gravel bike that you can't do on a road bike. My old triathlon bike with 25 millimeter tires on it, there's no way I would be doing what we're about to do right here. And beautiful sunrise this morning. It's going to get really hot, and so you cut through here. Oh, I forgot to show. If you go back in the video a little bit, there's a black canister. Maybe I'll show it. Oh, that's so nice. Front tire's running a little bit soft. I could just tell from that curb jump. But when we get going in this Lake Creek Park, really rough gravel in there, it'll actually pay off. So we're gonna go under Highway 6 over to Lake Creek Park. It's a little bit of an adventure doing that. And we start off with a little bit of fuel too. We're on a group ride. We're technically on a group ride, y'all and me. It's easy to forget the fuel and drink because you're talking all the time. Oh, that's pretty nice. So I've got 400 calories per hour about. A little more, a little less. Homemade fuel. And I've swapped out today's ride with Saturday. So today's Sunday, and already I can tell there's just fewer cars. For years I called my Sunday ride out east towards Anderson, Texas. So beautiful out there. But on roads, paved roads, on my old road bike, my Sunday morning church ride. Can hear the hum of those, what's left of the knobs on the gravel or the mountain bike tire on the front on the smooth pavement. I've swapped things out, and this weekend ran on Saturday because we made a road trip to San Marcos and back to help move furniture. And I took advantage of it to do some testing to see if moving my run to Saturday, my longer run, which in the summer Texas heat is not longer. It's just the same. Six miles in this heat feels like doing 15. Enjoying the traffic. On a normal day. But I was really struggling on Sundays doing my long run because on Saturday I would do my long bike ride in this heat and then get dehydrated, for the next day. And it just made it pretty rough. Pause here. This is Highway 6 up ahead. We're going to go under it. And so Saturday's run yesterday was actually a whole lot better. And we'll see if I mix in the run with this bike ride. I'll make an editorial choice. Because I talked about Simplicity on the run as well. Gravel bike. Woo! Go up on the curb here. A gravel bike with flat bars is pretty much just an adult-sized BMX bike, I've decided. Sort of. I really wouldn't jump it off of ramps or anything. Maybe I'll mix in the run parts from yesterday's run at the moments I turn into a headwind, like I'm about to do now after we get out of this parking lot. How about that? Well, let's go ahead with our run. Yeah, let's do that. And start talking about how hard it is to be simple. Here we go. All right, good morning. We're about to go run 6 miles, and River does this really cute thing when I get ready to hose him down. He lines up right in front of me. And lets me spray him down because he knows we're going to go run. and it's hot here, and doggies don't sweat except through their mouth and apparently their paws. I don't know if you call it sweating through their mouth. They pant through their mouth. And it's Saturday, so we're actually starting a little bit later, so we got some daylight so you can actually see this process. And let's go run. Yeah, it's 6:30. And look at the beautiful sunrise coming up. This is a rarity for us running. It's usually either totally dark or sun's already way up. What a great time to start. Wow, I don't know if y'all can see this, but everything just has like this slight pink hue. You see the pavement before the camera does color correction? And I think it's the reflection of the sun off the clouds lighting up everything a little bit pink. So pretty. There's a ton of rabbits. Wait, hold on. Oh, they took, oh, there's one right there. Yeah. This is one of his favorite parts. The whole thing's his favorite part. See, if a rabbit stands with confidence, sometimes he leaves it alone. He's like, I don't know, does that rabbit have a gun? That rabbit's psycho. So today's experiment is to figure out why or if running on Saturday morning instead of Sunday morning becomes, we'll say, crap show. But it has been by flipping the days of going long. And my theory is, in the summer, the long bike ride on Saturday, you see something? Gets me, here in Texas, so dehydrated that on Sunday, when trying to run, is fall apart about halfway through with all kinds of crazy symptoms of dehydration. Tunnel vision, and can't run, you have to walk, and feel like your head's gonna pop off your shoulders, but low, sluggish heart rate, which is actually, if you're dehydrated, your heart rate would be a little bit higher. So it's complicated. Gotta figure this out. But got this uphill here, less than half a mile in on rough ground. Sometimes I have to walk it, sometimes I run it, because the first mile is warm up, trying to keep things simple, which also we're going to talk about on today's run. I kept feeling like I was forgetting something. And it's because I started running after the sun came up. We have motion stabilization on right now, so it makes things seem a little bit darker than it is. It's a little bit brighter than this. And the lack of the need for lights. Don't need lights. So the headlamp and then his light and anything else, left it all behind, so I feel like I'm forgetting things. Oh, get that back. All right, as we're about to drop into Lit Creek Park here, our big local hundreds and hundreds of acres of wildland park. On the run, I following a rabbit. I had a theory that the reason I started doing my long bike rides on Saturday is because with gravel mixed in, they are so fun. So much more fun than riding road that I didn't want to put it off until Sunday. It's the only thing I could think of. Got my foot out. Take that turn. Because Sunday is just like the day to go for long bike rides because traffic is way calmer, far fewer people on the road. That's some rough stuff right there. Oh yeah, I'm running Silka Ultimate Sealant front and rear. Well, actually, I don't think I'm running it in the rear anymore. I had a broken spoke and they put orange seal in the back. But I got tire repair kits and stuff, so. Knock on alloy. Yeah, so Simplicity is actually hard to achieve because you have to like keep pulling away stuff, because what society does is it keeps dumping more and more on you. Spot. Little 90s mountain biking right there. And as Zen teaches, but you're already fine. You just have to remove stuff. And yeah, this is rough, kind of sharp gravel right here. So that squishy front is nice. What's interesting about going flat bar is it's actually less expensive than drop bar because of the shifting and the brakes is way cheaper than an all-in-one unit. Morning. I don't know the numbers, but it's probably like half the price. And then I found that if you're not in the aero bars, then you're up on the, that's because it's technical and you need to be up on flat bar. Morning. So flat bar actually works pretty good. And then what I did is I cut the bars down because these are modern gravel mountain bike bars. So they don't stick out so wide and they're more narrow, a little bit more like Bike Messenger width. A little bit. What's so cool about a bigger front tire up to a mountain bike is it'll float over that soft stuff like that. And kind of like the body follows the head if you swim, the rear just kind of follows it. It doesn't need to be as big. And plus it's behind you, so it doesn't like dig in as hard as if you're pushing it. But what I did is, you can see down here, I put the ergon grips These are actually Bontrager's, but same idea. So we gotta get around somebody. Coming up behind you. I need to get a bell. You see, that was some soft sand right there, so I just put my weight on the rear tire. Yep. Let the front float and guide and steer. And the rear tire will just follow. The worst is that narrow front tire, and it'll dig in, and then you're screwed. And then you have the hybrid. Everybody's like, what tire width should you run? This width, the width? 45? Ideally, for this kind of stuff, where it's never the right tire, because you're on pavement and gravel, the smartest is a wide front and narrow front, and then your wide front and narrow back, and then you're got the best of both worlds. The narrow rear doesn't slow you down as much on pavement. And the wide front really helps you off-road. And if it's worn down in the middle on the front, then the resistance isn't that bad. And then it gives you front suspension as well, which is really nice. Let's do a little more fuel. I'm gonna top off a little water. We'll go left this time. I can tell you too, with flat bars, it is, I don't know which way to the water fountain. It's complicated here. It is easier to ride one-handed. You have more control because it's a little bit further out than being way over like that. Okay, we're going to top off on some water because we're going a long ways before we get more. And I have been filming a lot on my evening rides. I think 3 evening rides to get a better handle on battery life on these on this camera and the little remote that's on my handlebars. And that's not a water bottle, that's my second fuel bottle. We're going to roll down to the Navasota River here in a second. And all right. I love the little deer tracks here on the way in and out of the park. I think it happened by accident and they just left them in because it's kind of charming. We'll go out the outdoor here. This place does have a little bit of single track, a couple miles, maybe 3 miles of single track, maybe. And it is fun as hell on this bike. It is, I wouldn't call it under biking, it's like perfect biking because it's like mellow single track. All right, we're about to hit a headwind, so I'm gonna get off the camera here and maybe do a little bit more of our running video as we dive down to the Navasota River. Be right back. All right, I thought I was filming, but I said so much stuff. Saying it the second time around makes me say it better. Anyway. So simplicity is complicated, and I wanted to talk for a second about the Bigfoot AI videos where he's a vlogger, and the brilliance is in the idea. Hey, the creativity, right? is in the idea, hey, let's make Bigfoot. Here's a little bit of running fuel. Let's let Bigfoot be like a human and view the world from his point of view. Instead of humans going out to discover Bigfoot, Bigfoot goes out and discovers the world. But because Bigfoot is already a mystical animal, well, now you've broken that, I don't know, fourth wall, but you've broken that, what's it called? The illusion of disbelief, or anyway, it's now okay to include aliens and discovering a submarine, finding an airplane, and learning to fly it with a friend. All this stuff that is just like nuts. And somebody commented that the storylines were so creative, and I'm like, no, the storylines are actually any of us as kids. If you had come on, we're going a creative mind, it's stuff we would have come up with when we were playing. We played in the woods as kids a lot, my friends and I, and on bikes. I had a little bike gang. I grew up in the era that was very much Stranger Things. It was just like that time period. And what keeps you watching, and what's really interesting, is actually the inconsistency of AI. He's already almost dry. Nah, he's still wet. But that short burst is running with the wind. That was hot. The wind's coming from that way, and if it comes from that way, it's really hot and humid in the mornings. So on those days, I've got this run route that kind of runs parallel to it to keep a crosswind or a headwind almost all the time. Let's get up here. So from scene to scene, Bigfoot's slightly different, and AI is making mistakes. I don't know if it's making mistakes, it's just different every single time. The latest one was he builds a log raft by hand and sails to an island to go visit Skunk Ape, right? Which he can do because it's imaginary. So part of the dissonance is where something's both in your mind right but wrong at the same time. It's a paradox. It's like being simply complicated, which is one reason they have those band names like that. Led Zeppelin, right? I can use 70s and 80s band names. Def Leppard, Iron Butterfly, like these things that can't exist. But if they existed, what would they be like? You want to take a break? Roll in the grass? We got time this morning. Get yourself all stinky. And so in music, Alice in Chains is a really great example because Lane Staley, the lead singer, has this one very distinct tone and is very much the lead singer. And then Jerry Cantrell is the guitarist, the lead guitarist, and his vocals don't exactly match, but he tries, and it's close, and he's not a bad singer. So your brain is constantly trying to figure out, what's wrong and what's right, and that's what keeps you hooked. The old Howard Stern, come on, let's go. The old Howard Stern thing is, I can't. They poll people, why do you listen? He's like, well, I can't stand him. And then, well, why do you listen? He's like, I can't wait to see what he says next. To get our 6 miles, we got to do this little loop around the bank here. Just a little bit with the wind. Oh, that's rough. So running with a dog it simplifies my life. Because now I have one less thing to do. Now I'm running into the wind, it feels so nice. I don't need to run and then walk him. And also it wears him out a little bit, so he's a better behaving dog. Because dogs that are really active and have behavior problems, a lot of times it's just they need to run. Burn off that energy. Look at these wildflowers. Oh, this is cool. Got finger in the picture there. That's great. But look at these wildflowers. Drink some water. Gotta stay cool. This is unbelievably hot, guys. But running with a dog is really complicated. And your brain has this thing that every time something works out, or it's dissonance, and then you're like, yeah, I'm right. Yeah, it is off. Your brain rewards you. Oh, there's a loose dog up there. Your brain rewards you with, that's a full German Shepherd up there. Off the leash running around. Now he's pulling. He's like, he wants to go check it out. Better watch out, you might get what you asked for. Not all dogs are nice. Where'd he go? It could be that surveyor's dog. I doubt he'd do that though. I could see a game trail going through those woods. Yeah, that's where he went. He went that way. So, every time, with all the lights and everything, and trying to find a route that works, every time we succeed in a run, then I've been proven right. So I get a little dose of that. And making it right is is hypnotic. You're falling into the, how's it going? You get so engaged, right? So while I'm trying to be simple, I'm also complicated at the same time. All right, we're about to hit some more gravel. We're gonna go over some numbers on the bike, what I use. It's telling me there's a climb ahead, but it's actually that way. This is Old Barker Ranch Road. I don't even go all the way down it because it turns private. And I talked to the owners and they were like, yeah, it's cool, but you know, it feels sketchy sometimes. You don't want to surprise people on their private road at 7 a.m. Anyway, we are half an hour in on my numbers here. Car up. And we're just on 8 miles, 8.14. Who's counting? And many, many years ago, I learned to take off my bike computer average speed I'll remember what else here in a second. But maybe max speed, you know. But anyway, what happens is if you're riding outdoors, your average speed differs. You could be biking just as hard and your speed's slower. And then what your mind does is it remembers like your best performances. Ooh, a fox. Did y'all see that? That was a fox. Cool. That's why we do this. And I have ruined so many training rides, or been wrecked the next day after a training ride. Too much. And also ruined so many runs on Ironmans and half Ironmans, even Olympics, by trying to hit an average speed. So part of the simplification thing is removing stuff that doesn't matter so it doesn't distract you. I guess if it's an easy ride, you would remove like power, which you could have different screens set up on your computer just to, you don't even see this kind of stuff, you know, save it for race day. A wide front tire really helps you go faster on loose downhill. Got way more control. With more control, you can get in the aero bars and then go even faster. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah, your mind's always trying to match like your best. Like, I should be able to do 20 miles an hour. I should be able to do. So you start going harder. Or you get towards the end of the ride and your power's fading, your average power. And it's like that's... so then you start going harder towards the end of a ride when you really should just be like chilling out if it's a longer ride and letting it soak in, you know. Especially if you're getting hotter. And it's an ego thing to try to match like a miles per hour, when honestly, your average miles per hour does not matter. Let's say you're in a race, it's who won that matters, with the least amount of power, that's saving it for the end. So yeah, if you leave things like that on your screen, you can find yourself trying to match them. And you simplify and make your training better by taking these things off. Removal. All right, we'll be right back as we drop into the Navasota River. All right, we're about to drop in Navasota River Basin. I love it back here. It's so pretty. It just doesn't get developed because it's a dead end at this time. Years down the road, you know, they'll build a road across it. And tell which way the wind's coming from there. And that windmill. Get back and let the front tire float. When I did the Gonzo Graveler on this bike, and I'd added the flat bars, there was like crazy downhill that was like really steep and technical, like loose, really loose. It was so nice having flat bars to really push back and have more control over the bike. I think they're faster overall if you're using aero bars, and they're but it could be a wash, you know, like drop bars. Really depends on the course, and also like, what do you like to ride? This is really rough stuff. Soft. Oh. It's like there was water over the road again here. But you have soft gravel and then lumps of rock that you hit unexpectedly. That's kind of rough on the hands. That's why these grips are really nice, because they flatten out everything and they flex on your palms. Highly recommend them if you're riding mountain bikes. A lot of people using them these days. All right. We're down at the river. We're in a van down by the river. Let's see what's up. I should probably not talk, so I don't scare away any animals. Really quiet. Talked to some kids that were down here fishing the other day, and they said it's actually shallow enough here where you can walk across, and it's probably sand instead of mud, so that's safer than mud and getting stuck. But yeah, that one time I saw that alligator right there, it was like a dream come true, because they're definitely like all around here, but you just don't see them that often, and it's pretty neat. All right, what do we have? That's also, did I forget? I got 2 extra battery packs in the bike, and I think we're gonna take a nature break for a second, and then we'll come right back with some other stuff. And I turn the camera off, right? All right. Take a little bit more fuel. This is a 2-hour, I got 2 2-hour bottles, and we're more than half an hour in, so I need to be finishing this up. There you go. That's about 45 minutes worth right there. Mostly table sugar, a little bit of Gatorade powder, and for flavor, that's the yellow. Lemon lime this time. And and sodium citrate, which you can buy in bulk for electrolyte. And I'm going to try to drink more water this ride too. Yeah, so flipping the run first, it's so much easier to bike ride than the run, because the breeze and everything. And I remember, I bet I was running in the morning. Kai had soccer games on Saturdays when he was little. And so I would get my run in the morning before the soccer game. Wasn't enough time to go on a long bike ride, and then I'd do my bike ride this Sunday, and it just worked. And the long run could really beat up your legs. And it's easier to go for a long ride the next day because you don't have that abuse in your body. We're almost up out of here. And yeah, I want to talk about, I might have some bike upgrades coming and be back on the Vast. We'll see. My birthday's coming up. This part's a little hard right here with the single speed. From 48 front chainring and a, what am I running in the rear? 18. I think with an 8-speed chain, which is plenty thick. Usually if you do single speed, you run like a big heavy chain because you're doing so much more torque. So you want the chain to be tough. All right, we'll be right back. So to keep running simple, for example, I keep almost all my running stuff in 2 places. By the front door, well, 3 places now that I think of it. But I know where to go look for all my stuff, right? And then that's the only way. Yeah, a dog peed there. Okay, we'll wait. That's the only way to keep it simple enough to get it done. Because running is like one of the most simple things that we've been doing. Come on, let's go this way. You've sniffed that. Now, might be able to see the breeze blowing the flags that way. I pay attention to the wind and it helps me stay cooler while I know what's going on. Oh, a doggy bag. Well, it keeps things simple, but also that's not complicated enough. For some people, being a triathlete, now that's complicated, right? And that keeps you engaged. Trying to figure out how to do 3 things at once becomes addictive. This is a local cycling group. Hey Mary, how's it going? I would have filmed her. Who it was at first. It's a local Ironman coach. Come on, we're going this way. Come on, we're going this way. Come on, we're going this way. So, all right, we're on our little path here. He's behind me. It's funny over all the years how all the dogs are a little bit different that we've had when I run with them. Some of them like to be ahead. Roxy, the greyhound, wanted to be right by my side. Or run behind me, actually, almost all the time. Let me lead. Like, do they have a lead sled dog or follow the lead sled dog kind of mentality? Yeah, so running needs to be simple. Triathlon training, because it's so complicated, needs to be simple. And for example, I'm running in these shoes that are super simple. There's no heel, they're ultras. This road dead ends up here, I have to turn around. So they almost make you feel like you're running barefoot. And I used to be a barefoot runner, and it's super simple. But then it makes the world more engaging, for sure, if you're barefoot, because you can feel the different temperatures and textures of the ground. And if it's wet or dry, it's really cool. So then that becomes a hypnotic effect of keeping you engaged and making you want to do it. So there's like this sweet spot in between of simple and complicated. And then you'll notice when things get too complicated, that's when you get stressed out. And that's why they say you need to simplify, actually do less. But less of what? Less of the simple thing, or less of the adding in the little complication? Look at that fog. On the lens, man, I just pulled the phone out of my running shorts. We're going this way. We're walking the uphills now. I have to convert the theory a little bit. You know, where was I wrong? Where was I right? And I think starting in the morning well before the sun comes up is cool enough. If I start after the sun starts coming up, that's the tripping point on heat. And so, because we're 3.5 miles in, and I'm starting to struggle a little bit, and I've learned that at those points, start walking the harder stuff, or else you're going to be walking a whole lot more later. He's going to want to go lay in the grass over there. But to add to the, for the longest time, I used to run on Saturdays and bike on Sunday, and I don't know why I flipped it around. I guess because I wanted to bike so bad because it's gravel. Do it sooner on Saturday, maybe. But actually, the other way around, if you live a normal, if you work, nothing's normal anymore. If you work a weekday job and then have the weekends, running on Saturday while you're fresher, doing your longer run, if that's what you're doing on Saturday, while you're fresher, is smarter, because biking is actually a little bit easier on the body, and plus you have a breeze while biking. And then traffic on Sunday mornings is way less dangerous and fewer cars than on Saturday morning. So this makes me think I ought to work on trying to switch things around. So I'm listening right now to a Zen podcast, and it's a guy talking about how to actually become a monk. You know, and being a monk is like really simple, right? Being a monk is supposed to be really simple. Well, the process and actually what you do is actually really complicated. But then when you are forced, you keep stripping away until it's just you. And now you realize the problem with everything in the world isn't the world, it's you. After you left all your problems behind, you still have problems. So maybe it's you. It's like everybody around you is an a-hole. Maybe you're the a-hole. Okay, this is our turnaround. We're not getting on the freeway. See, we're going to be smart. And once this gets hard, running up this, we're going to walk. And, you know, becoming a professional athlete, all the ones I've interviewed over all the years, and all the ones now that you can interview or watch, all the interviews yourself with Lachlan Morton and Justinas, the guy who just won the Great Divide. It's really simple. You just ride your bike a lot. Eddie Merckx said that. Ride lots. And probably back then take a dose of magic powder. helps a little bit back then. And the thing is, when you're faced with something really hard in life, like at work, I'm trying to do something that should work, but it's not working. So you keep stripping it down. When you do programming, and the program, your script, Python code, whatever you're writing, doesn't work, I found you simplify it. Just get one piece to work, and then add to that. But you got to back off and simplify it. Because what you realize is you can't even get the one thing easy, just biking lots. Just exercising 12 hours a week. Right? Well, you keep... I'm going to walk this little part so that we can run the downhill in the next part. When you're struggling, you simplify and simplify until you can do that one thing, the most basic part of that one thing. Just run easy 3 times a week. And you work your way up to, let's say, 6 miles or an hour. 3 times a week. Easy. Well, if you can't do that, then start asking yourself, what have you added to it? It's all like complicated. Try doing it without the dog, you know, just for a couple weeks. Figure it out. Simplify, figure it out. Become a monk in that process for a little bit. And now we're headed home. He's got no problems. No stopping. Wanting to turn around. Oh, we also stopped about a mile ago at a water stop and sprayed him down again, and then gave him some water, so he's all right. That's when you try to overcomplicate things. Y'all can't really tell. It's a little bit of an uphill right here. We're gonna walk it so that we can run the next one. We're gonna walk it so that we can run the next one. But also that goes back to ego. For you to simplify things, you have to let things go, and you have to realize it's not working. What you're doing is not working. Also topped off my fuel a little bit with more water to dilute it. It's not as strong on the stomach that way. That's a little bit of Gatorade powder. And then, say it's like 50 calories of Gatorade powder, lemon lime for flavor, and a little bit of table sugar, because that's what, if you buy Gatorade powder, it's table sugar, not high fructose corn syrup. And then probably about 100 calories of maltodextrin powder, which is really easy on the stomach. But still, if it's too concentrated and it's really hot and you sweat it a lot, you gotta drink a lot of water with it so it doesn't hurt your stomach. There you go. This is also the different thing is, this is the first time I've run this route that's more sideways to the wind. It doesn't have as much tailwind on it. There's a car coming. Come on, let's get out of the road. So that also helps make it easier. Then the other route had a mile that was uphill with the tailwind. And it was, whoa, dude, seriously? Yeah. But you never know. They're like, I got a car behind me. Anyway. You never know what's going on in somebody's life. My mom said the best thing one time when I was about to start driving. I was like 15. and a guy flipped her off in traffic and honked at her, swerved at her, you know, yelled out the window. And she wasn't doing anything wrong. I was a passenger. I was like, yeah, she's fucked, you know. And I go, you're not going to do anything back? I was home for the summer from military school. Military school is all like hyper aggressive. Every answer is physical. The answer to every problem. I'm gonna walk this up over here. And she said, there's nothing I can do to him that'll make him feel any worse than he does about himself already. I was like, holy crap. That was one of those turning points in life, you know, that makes you see things differently. I don't know. She'll never watch this. Well, maybe she will, but she'll probably doesn't even remember saying that. But that was powerful, right? Because then with that perspective, and Zen is all about changing your perspective to realize why maybe you're the problem, you know, or how to not become the problem or add to the problem. A big thing in Zen is not adding to the problem. There's a whole story of being shot with an arrow. The first thing to do is actually take the arrow out and look who shot at you and get away. Don't start just shooting arrows at other people randomly. But it's called the second arrow. If you want to Google it, it's really cool. It doesn't, shooting an arrow doesn't take the first arrow out.